just I talked about. I think yesterday I talked about the Herder shot on Friday and said it was like one of the defining moments. I forgot what I said. Defining moments, great moments of the season, all this other stuff. It feels like they've had like 3 or 4 of them. Like there's that shot. The I thought the Pistons game, it wasn't like a final shot, but when Herder hit the corner 3 to like give them a 4-point lead or something like that, that place went ballistic in that Pistons game. De'Aaron Fox hit a little mid-range that game. They went crazy. The Warriors game. Like they've had a number of these different moments this year. And it just adds to the lure of this season, I feel.
You're using the word lure, and I know what you mean by that. I think it's adding something else to the season. I think it's battle testing this team for, because we talk about, you hear NBA people talk about how the beginning of the season is different than the end of the season. The end of the season is different than the postseason. Like there are these like different eras that the Kings are going to be playing in within a season that are all going to be new. And the fact that they're winning tough games like this against good teams, against a team like Utah, who's clearly fighting for something. Utah, everyone needs to collectively admit that they were wrong about Utah.
Shout out to our guy, William. He told us opening night.
Hey, he absolutely did. He said that this team is going out there and they're trying to win games and they're going to be all right. Now, I think they're at 5 losses in a row right now. They've certainly come down to where they were from where they were earlier this season. But this isn't a team actively trying to lose games. If that changes in March or February, like, so be it. But right now, everyone has to acknowledge they were wrong about Utah. That's a team fighting for something. You got Denver. Is Denver still the top team in the West? Yeah, they are. You just had 2 games, with them. Having games like this it builds something within the team, whether it's character, whether with calloused hands. That might be what the Kings are doing with these close wins, and the fact that they're playing in the clutch at a high level, the way that they are.
It can, to me, it can only help. And it helps with, you say battle tested, and I agree with that. It breeds confidence that every time you're out there, no matter what the situation is, we can come back and get this. It goes to like that Washington game we were talking about. This is an 18-point game in the 4th quarter. I think the Kings, I think everybody in that building was like, we're just like 2 threes away. We're 2 threes away from putting pressure on them, and we'll be able to turn this thing around. Like that's what this team has fostered with a lot of these exciting close wins. So
Cavello asks, what's different with the Kings compared to other teams that have started hot but fell back to earth? The Kings have, I think, for the most part, been consistent. They started, like, when you think about how the season started with the 4 straight losses, and then eventually they wind up with the 7 straight wins, that like evens things out, right? And then you just kind of go from there. They've been the most consistent of the group. They've, it goes back to last week or the week before, whatever it was, the frustration in the Hornets Wizards games, and that they just hadn't had very many of those. Like, it's one thing to get blown out by the Boston Celtics. It's another thing to appear not even to come out and play versus the Charlotte Hornets or the Washington Wizards. Like, those moments haven't really happened. Like, you saw what happened to the Celtics last night.
Oh my gosh.
The Celtics got just embarrassed by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And point in me saying that, though, is it happens in the league. It's going to happen to the Bucks. It's going to happen to the Denver
Bucks the other day. They lost to Washington the other day.
That's right, by a good chunk.
Yeah.
Which explains, I guess, why Giannis was so pissed last night.
Yeah, I don't think Giannis played that first game either. He said, all right, I've had enough of this.
And the Kings just have been consistent and just kind of kept themselves right there in the midst of the Western Conference.
The other reason, in my opinion, Damian, is they're good. Like, the Kings are a good team. And I think that the fact that they have a good complement of guys around their two all-stars has proven to work out, just fine. And then the fact that they have these two all-stars,
Yeah.
you know, we always talk about it. It's the elephant in the room. There's no getting around it. But this trade to get Domantas Sabonis in here, it's worked out perfectly.
Mhm.
Perfectly. And if we're being honest and being fair, it's worked out perfectly for everybody involved. Indiana's having a heck of a season as well. I thought they were a bottom 5 team in the league. And look at them. They're about 3 games over 500, playing really well. Tyrese is probably making the All-Star game. So to get a guy like Sabonis in here, it's done wonders for everybody involved. Everybody involved. It is done wonders for De'Aaron Fox. It's done wonders for Kevin Herter, Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes. Put him in the right spot. Keegan Murray doesn't have the pressure of having to carry a franchise in his rookie year or be close to carrying a franchise in his rookie year. It's been a perfect situation.
And a big part of that, in as great as Domas has been, who, by the way, I was about to make a joke that Domas is getting the Harrison Barnes treatment. We're, an hour and some change into this show. What time is it? We're past 1 o'clock. We're 64 minutes into this show. Domas had 21, 14, and 8 last night.
Hmm.
By the way, Harrison Barnes had 19 points. Harrison Barnes had 19 points and 8 rebounds last night.
That's crazy. 19 and 8 for HB. Come on, man. That's a super good game.
You're listening to D-Lo and Casey on KIFM West Sacramento 98.5 FM, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, driven by Lashes Elk Grove Dodge. Always live on the free Odyssey app. I don't want it to get lost with Domas, and we went over the numbers with Will Z, the kind of up and down numbers for Kevin Herter, and what a difference that has meant for Sacramento and their stretches of the season. I'm gonna say this until the season is over. Mike Brown, man. Talk about Domas being everything the Sacramento Kings needed, and you're 100% right. Everything the Sacramento Kings needed. It's worked out beautifully. Tyrese Halliburton, everything the Indiana Pacers needed. Beautiful. Perfect. Everybody's happy. Mike Brown ties this all together.
Hey, man, you
entire coaching staff ties it all together.
You said it definitively when we were going through all the search and who would it be and the 3 candidates or whatever, and you said it definitively. You said Mike Brown is 100% the right hire for this team. 100% the right hire. Then you were spot on. We got a number of different guys, Sabonis, Fox, all this other stuff. But Mike Brown may be the straw that stirs the drink with all of this, man. Like his energy, his insight, his leadership, and the way he's understood the personalities with this team and the DNA of this team and navigated the waters perfectly. I don't know if anybody else could have done. We talk all the time about, or at least I do, or James does as well, Luke Walton, and how he didn't have any players. Like he didn't have this roster or whatever. I don't know, even if Luke Walton, he might have been better with this roster. I don't know if he could do what Mike Brown has done with this group. You know what I mean? It's not always just, oh, you have better talent, so you'll look like a better coach. Sometimes you got to navigate the waters a certain way. And I think Mike Brown has done it to perfection.
He definitely has. And I loved De'Aaron Fox last night talking about, and I think they each talked about it. I think Mike Brown started the conversation, but Mike was talking about calling plays for De'Aaron Fox or calling plays there in that fourth quarter. And De'Aaron essentially kind of waving them off and changing the call, saying, I think we've got something else here. Let's try this. And because we hear how detail oriented Mike Brown is, and we hear from De'Aaron Fox's own words how important structure is to him. For them both in the key moment of a game to recognize, hey, I think I have a better idea than this one. Mm-hmm. Let me try it. And Mike mentioned that De'Aaron did that on a number of occasions in the fourth quarter. And you see what that turned into, the 9 of 10, the 22 points, and finishing at the basket so regularly in that final quarter, even on that final possession.
Yeah. Yeah,
that speaks to both of those guys. It speaks to Mike Brown and his willingness to back away a little bit from what we've heard so much about him and allow his star player to be a star. And I thought that was beautiful. It obviously tremendous from De'Aaron Fox. Beautiful work from Mike Brown as well.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta, and Mike Brown has done a great job of this. And this is something that, maybe he's learned as a coach. Like he's grown as a coach from his past stints. Sometimes you just gotta feel the game. You can't stay with the game plan. So to speak.
Clock, yeah.
Yeah, like you gotta feel the game. He's done that a couple of times with Sabonis. Sabonis gets 2 early fouls. Sometimes he takes them out. Sometimes like, nah, I need you, big fella. You gotta learn how to play with these fouls. And it's worked a couple of times. And like you just mentioned, late in games when Fox sees something, Mike Brown having the trust in De'Aaron Fox. And the other thing about that is sometimes you got to do that, right? You got to say, hey, Fox, you see something, I'm going to trust you, and it may work, it may not work, but it's a learning experience. It's a situation where you invest in this leader that you're trying to foster. You invest in him right now, so it pays off later down the road. Because maybe Fox will see something down the road and be like, I remember I read that wrong last time. I know how to handle it this time, or I read it right, whatever the case may be. And it's all a testament to Mike Brown.